You okay? Said quickly. Said in passing. Said while looking at something else, or on the way out of the room, or in the particular tone that already contains its own expected answer. And the person who hears it knows, without thinking about it, what the right answer is. Fine, yeah, I'm good. Not because they are, but because something in the way the question was asked told them that's what's needed right now. That a real answer, the real one, would land wrong, would take too long, would require something the moment doesn't have room for. So they give the answer the question was built for, and the door closes. And both people move on. The question was real, the care behind it was real, but something in how it was asked made an honest answer almost impossible. Today I want to show you 7 questions that function as closures, questions that look like openings but are built in ways neither person quite notices to receive a particular kind of answer. Not because anyone is trying to prevent honesty, but because the question was shaped by the answer it was hoping for. My name is Daniel Mercer, and one of the things I've observed consistently in how people fail to reach each other, even when genuinely trying, is that the question matters as much as the willingness to ask. Most people think questions are neutral. They aren't. Before anyone answers, they've already noticed the tone, the timing, the expression, and what kind of answer seems to make this moment easier. Most of the time, that's the answer they give, not from dishonesty, from the fluency that tells them what this moment is for. And the gap between what was asked and what was hoped for, and what was actually true, that gap is where a great deal of quiet distance gets created between people who are genuinely trying to connect. Here are 7 questions that create that gap. Number 1. You okay? Asked in a way that already expects yes. This is the most common one. The question is real. The person does want to know. But something in the delivery signals that the answer should be brief, should be manageable, should not require the conversation to stop and turn towards something difficult. The tone, the timing, the eye contact, or the absence of it all communicate, I'm checking in, not opening up. And the person being checked in on reads this accurately. They know the difference between a question that wants a real answer and a question that wants confirmation that everything is okay. And so they confirm. Fine. Getting there. Better than yesterday. And the check-in completes itself. And neither person is lying exactly. But something real was available. Something the other person might have actually said if the question had arrived differently and it didn't come out. Because the door was the width of a yes. Number 2. That wasn't too much for you, was it? This one is subtler. It arrives after something has happened. A difficult conversation, a request, a moment that might have been hard, and it's checking in, but it's checking in with the answer built into the grammar. That wasn't too much for you, was it? The not is doing significant work. It's not asking, how was that for you? It's asking, can you confirm it was fine? The structure of the question has already suggested the preferred answer, and the social pull of that suggestion is strong. The person asking wants to have not caused difficulty, and the person being asked understands that, so they confirm. No, it was fine. I'm okay. Which may be true, or may be a gift, a small act of management disguised as honesty. And the asker, relieved, believes it. Not because they were deceived exactly, because the question was structured to produce that outcome, and both people participate in the production without either quite noticing. What gets lost is the space for the honest answer, which might have been, actually, yes, that was a lot. I needed a moment with it, a sentence that deserved to be said, and wasn't, because the question made it almost unsayable. Number 3. You're not upset about that, are you? This one does something slightly different from the previous 2. It doesn't just contain the preferred answer, it also contains a quiet assessment of the feeling, a suggestion embedded in the phrasing that being upset would be a disproportionate response to whatever happened. So now the person being asked has 2 things to navigate simultaneously: the feeling itself, which may or may not be upset, and the implied verdict that the feeling would be unreasonable, that anyone sensible wouldn't be upset about this. And most people, faced with that combination, do not push through. They don't say, "Yes, actually, I am upset," because saying that means defending not just the feeling, but the validity of having it, which is work, which is risky, which is harder than the alternative. So they say, "No, I'm fine." And the feeling, which was real, which needed somewhere to go, gets filed back, internally, where it joins everything else that couldn't find its way into an honest answer. The question closed the space for the very thing it was ostensibly asking about. Number 4. I didn't make you feel bad about that, did I? This one arrives in a particular register, guilt adjacent. The person asking it is worried they caused something. They want reassurance. And the structure of the question makes the direction of that reassurance unmistakable. The honest answer, in many cases, would be, "Yes, a little," or "I'm still working out how I feel about it," or "Not bad exactly, but something that needs a name I haven't found yet." But saying any of those things in response to this question means doing something that feels unkind. It means denying the person the reassurance they were clearly hoping for. And most people find that hard, particularly with people they care about, particularly when the question arrives with audible anxiety underneath it. So they provide the reassurance. "No, you didn't. It's fine. Don't worry about it," which resolves the asker's anxiety and costs the answerer something they can't quite name. The dynamic has inverted. The person who might have been affected is now managing the feelings of the person who did the affecting. And the original thing, whatever was felt, hasn't been addressed. It's been traded for a moment of relief. Number 5. Everything's okay between us, right? This question is often asked after a period of distance, or after something that was never quite addressed, or in a moment of uncertainty that one person wants resolved without the conversation that resolution would actually require. It wants confirmation. It wants to skip past the thing that made the question necessary, the tension, the unresolved moment, the thing that was never quite finished, and arrive at okay without doing the work okay requires. And the person being asked is in a difficult position. Saying yes, even if it's not fully true, resolves the moment and restores the surface. Saying no, or anything more complicated, opens a conversation they may not have been invited to want. So they usually say yes, and the surface is restored, and the thing underneath it, the thing that made the question necessary in the first place, remains, covered now by the confirmed okay, even harder to raise because it's been agreed upon. The question didn't open anything. It closed the last opening that was available. Number 6. I was only trying to help, you know that, right? This version arrives specifically after care has gone wrong, after something was offered, help, advice, a gesture, that landed in a way that wasn't expected. And instead of asking how it landed, the question asks the other person to confirm the intention. It's structured as vulnerability. The person is making themselves slightly exposed by needing to know that their intention was understood. But without meaning to, it hands the emotional work to the other person. The person who may have been affected by the help that went wrong is now being asked to reassure the helper that the help was well meant. And they usually do. Because saying no, because holding on to the impact when the intention has been so clearly declared, feels unkind, feels like refusing to give someone credit for trying. So they release it. Yes, I know. It's fine. Thank you for trying. And the thing that actually happened, the way the help landed, what it created in the person who received it, goes unaddressed, replaced by the confirmation that the intention was good, which it may well have been, and which has nothing to do with what the other person actually needed to say. Number 7. We're good, aren't we? The simplest version of all of these, 2 words that contain a world of expectation. Not a question exactly, more like a statement with a question mark attached. An invitation to agree. It arrives in the aftermath of difficulty, in the space after something that was never quite resolved. When the atmosphere has eased enough that the question feels possible, when things feel better, if not good, And one person wants to confirm that better is the same as good. And the other person, who has been carrying something small, something not quite finished, something that would take a whole conversation to address, looks at the question and makes a calculation. Is this the moment? Is this the opening? Or is this the closing? The final confirmation that what was unresolved has been decided by the question itself to be resolved. Most of the time, they choose the peace. They say yes. And the thing they were carrying gets added to everything else they've been carrying. And the relationship moves forward. Okay, together, slightly further from each other than either person knows. Here's what all 7 of these questions share. They're all shaped by what the asker hopes to hear, not through deception, through the very human tendency to frame a question in a way that points toward the answer that would feel best, the answer that would resolve uncertainty, restore comfort, confirm that things are okay. And the person being asked reads that shaping. They understand almost instantly what this question is for, what it would cost to answer differently, what the atmosphere in the room is asking them to provide. And most of the time, they provide it. Not from dishonesty, from the social intelligence that is learned through countless interactions that a real answer, slow, uncertain, possibly difficult, is not always what the question was built to receive. What gets lost is the thing that would have been said if the question had arrived differently, if it had opened instead of closing, if it had been curious instead of hopeful, if the person asking had been more interested in the truth than in the particular version of the truth that would feel safe. Relationships quietly collect these moments. Confirmed okays that weren't quite okay. Agreed goods that weren't quite good. A history of questions that asked for one thing and received it, while the real answer waited, patient, for a question it could actually answer. Here's what I want to say about all of this. If you recognized yourself in any of these questions, the check-ins that hoped for fine, the requests for confirmation that things are okay, I want to be clear about something. These questions come from care, from the genuine desire to know that the person you love is all right, from the discomfort of uncertainty, from the very human impulse to restore connection when things have felt difficult. The problem isn't the wanting. It's that the question, shaped by what you're hoping for, doesn't quite leave room for what you might actually need to hear. Because the most useful version of knowing how someone is doing is not the confirmed version. It's the real version. The one that might be inconvenient, that might require something, that might not be fine. And getting to that version requires a question that genuinely doesn't know the answer, that arrives without a preferred response already built into its grammar, that creates space for something slow and uncertain to come through. That kind of question is harder to ask. Not because the words are complicated, because it requires tolerating the possibility of a real answer. If any of this described something you recognize, I want to offer one reframe. The next time you want to ask someone how they're doing, pause for a moment before the question arrives. Not to find a better question, just to notice what answer you're hoping for. What response would feel like relief? What you'd do if the answer was different from the one you expected. Because if you notice that you're hoping for fine, the question you're about to ask is probably built for fine, and it will receive fine, and fine will be what the moment produces. But if you can ask without already knowing what you want to hear, if you can let the question be genuinely open, something different becomes possible. The person in front of you gets to answer the question you actually asked, rather than the answer the question was quietly hoping for. Honest answers rarely disappear because people don't have them. They disappear because they never found a question that could hold them. Not the width of a yes, all the way.